What's up again, everybody? I'm Clayton. Welcome to the pack. Thank you guys for being here. As you can tell by the title, today I'm reviewing The Predator, released in 2018, directed by Shane Black. But before I get into this review, I just want to remind all of you while you're here to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the channel out a lot. I appreciate all of you guys. And just as a reminder, this is just my opinion on this movie. There's no need to be upset or offended by anything I have to say. It's just my opinion. Let me know your opinion of this film in the comment section. Anything and everything you want to let me know. Let's have a fun talk. And that being said, let's talk some Predator. So starting with the positives, getting into the negatives, as always, I do like this movie. I'll just go ahead and say that. I saw this in theaters back in 2018, liked it. And then I pretty quickly found out that I was what seemed like the only person maybe in the country that did like this movie, because everyone else I was talking to at the time was not a big fan of this film. They did not have positive things to say about it. So I found that a little shocking because, I mean, I had a good time in the theater kicking it and watching this film. I watched it a second time, a little bit after that first viewing. Liked it again, and then I watched it maybe a year or two ago for the third time, still liked it, and then I watched it back for this review, and I gotta say, I still like this movie, guys. I guess I just don't see what everyone else is seeing with this film that makes them not like it, that turns them off from this movie. I have a good time with this film. I make no apologies for that. You like what you like. I like this movie. So I'll get into the positives now and talk about what it is that I like about this film. It's not perfect. You know, I am going to have some negatives to say as well, but overall, I have a pretty positive experience with this film. So one of the first positives I want to talk about is the lead character here, Quinn McKenna, played by Boyd Holbrook. I like this character. He's a likable guy. He's a likable character. He has strong character traits about him that I find respectable, admirable, and make me gravitate to him. I like him. He's a badass, but he also has a strong moral compass. You can tell he loves his son, and the relationship between him and his son also, in my opinion, adds an emotional element there to the film that kind of makes it more enjoyable, because that's something I feel like kind of lacks in the prior Predator movies is any type of emotional element, emotional touch or tether to the film. And I like that this movie had that. It explored kind of the father-son relationship there with the lead character. I thought it brought some heart to the movie, made me cheer for this guy even more, made me hope that him and his son make it out. So that is something I liked. I liked the character on paper. I liked the performance that were given by Boyd as the lead character. I thought he's a good job and does a good job. And I think he's probably the best lead character in a Predator movie since the first one. I definitely think he fits that role better than Adrian Brody. I definitely think he's more believable in that role than Adrian Brody was at Predators. I think he's stronger than any of the leads we got in the two Alien vs. Predator movies. And I think as an actor and as a character on paper, I think I actually prefer him over the lead character in Predator 2. Although I like Danny Glover and he's got a very charismatic personality, the character on paper and the performance, I think I like better in this one. So other than Arnie in the first one, I think this is probably my favorite lead character in a Predator movie. So that's a strong positive for me, because characters, I mean, that's what matters the most for me in any film are the characters. The characters are the ones telling the story. So if I don't invest with the characters, it's going to be hard for me to fully invest with the film the way I would like to, because the lack of any strong character that I connect with. So the fact that this movie had a strong lead character, in my opinion, that gave a good performance, was well written on paper. I thought that's a strong positive for me when I come to this movie. I also like the other surrounding characters. I think are pretty entertaining. You get Thomas Jane in here. You get Keegan Michael Key in this film. You get some good surrounding cast and actors in this film. They're all entertaining. They all kind of bring their own personality to the film that is entertaining and fun. I like a lot of those actors. I like seeing a lot of them on screen. So anytime I get those actors, typically I'm gonna like, I'm gonna like what I get with them. So a good surrounding cast, a good lead character, central character there. I like the predator design, the creature design of the predator in this one. Badass, man. Good stuff there. That hybrid predator thing, that the big bad of the film, that thing was a savage, dude. That thing was awesome. Looked great creature design there. Was a big fan of the look of that predator in this movie. The kills are fantastic. This one is probably the best accumulative kill RIP count in the franchise up to this point, even more than the first one. I love the kills in this movie. They're savage. They fit what the predator is and how the predator hunts and kills. This one gives and shows the savagery of the predator, of that alien creature, the best in my opinion. Almost every single kill in this movie is just a gnarly RIP, man. And that's something some of the other Predator movies lacked, in my opinion, was, good kills and, presenting that really terrifying, intimidating presence and the way that the Predator kills. This one had that, and every kill in this movie was just an awesome kill. So that was a big positive for me as well. I like the score in this movie. I thought the score fits the film well. It enhances the tension. It enhances the action. It enhances the horror for the film. Good, effective score. I like the action and the pacing. I thought was also really well handled. They didn't spend too much time on any one action sequence, but they also didn't just give you 2 seconds of action and then go back into exposition and story and all that stuff. They give you a good amount of action that was well handled, well paced, and had movement to it as well. So I thought Shane Black did a good job directing the action, and the way that he handled the action and the pacing was good throughout this film as well. I didn't get bored at any time throughout this movie. So the pacing is good, the action is good, all that stuff worked for me. And then I also liked the cinematography and the editing in this film. I liked the way that Shane Black directed this film, the look of the camera, the look of the frame, the framing itself. I thought it was all really well done. I thought maybe he could have tweaked the lighting just a little bit towards the end when they're in the woods. It is really darkly lit, and it wasn't necessarily bad cinematography there, but I did feel like maybe the lighting could have been a little bit better directed there. But overall, I did like the cinematography and the visual aesthetics of the film. So all of that, man, really good stuff. And those are all positives for me. Getting into the negatives, like I said, I don't think this is a perfect film. There are some legitimate issues that I've heard raised that I do think are legitimate criticisms and negatives for me as well. One of them being the story here, I do think was kind of weak. The story didn't really have much going for it. It didn't really add anything to the franchise. I don't think it didn't really expand the universe. There wasn't really a story worth telling here. as far as the story of the Predator, of the events, of what's actually taking place. Wasn't really a story that, really had anything to say. I mean, most of these Predator movies don't have anything to say philosophically or anything like that. There's not really a strong commentary in any of the films, but I do think that this one, most of the other films at least had a story concept that was kind of interesting to explore, that maybe expanded the universe a little bit. This one didn't really have any of that. I don't think it had any type of interesting premise or story concept that was worth following or pursuing. And it didn't really expand the universe other than just to tell us that the predator species were, hybrids now with humans, which doesn't really fit the rest of the franchise, but whatever. So the story for me was kind of weak. There wasn't really anything there that gave me much or really did anything, in my opinion, for the franchise. So that, for me, that is a legitimate criticism. Also, some of the dialogue, again, the Predator franchise has never really had the strongest dialogue writing. Whoever, all the writers that they've gotten, the script writers that they've gotten for these movies, none of them have really been the best at writing character dialogue. And this one, again, suffers in a number of places with character dialogue. Just like some of the jokes by Keegan in this movie when they're on the bus, it's just like, they're not funny. And there's no point to it, really, some of the other dialogue by some of the characters is just, the attempt at humor didn't really land with the dialogue that they were trying to put in. And then on top of that, it was just kind of crass, elementary type of dialogue that just wasn't really needed. It made the characters feel very childlike when these are supposed to be adults, experienced soldiers, combat soldiers in a serious type of environment. They're all just kind of cracking stupid jokes that, aren't even funny, and something that a kid would say. I don't buy that any of these characters were prior soldiers based on how they're acting and some of the dialogue that their characters are saying. I believe the central character was a soldier. He's believable in that because of what we see of him. But once we're introduced to the surrounding cast, when they're on the bus and everything, I just don't buy that any of these guys were former soldiers. None of them act like it. None of them actually want to fight. None of them actually are taking themselves or each other seriously or the situation seriously. And I just felt like, based on who these characters are supposed to be on paper, I don't buy that any of these characters are the characters written. So there's definitely issues in the dialogue that could have been cleaned up. Scenes that just didn't really do anything for anybody. I also thought some of the visual effects don't really hold up. Some of the CGI stuff with the like the dog predators, the pets that the predators were keeping, doesn't really look that sharp. Doesn't really look that good. Some of the stuff with the aircraft and everything, just, I don't know that Shane Black really handled the visual effects and the CGI very well in this movie. It doesn't really hold up all that well for me. And then I also felt like, and this is kind of, it's not really a criticism with the movie necessarily, but more of a criticism with the genre that they're tackling. Predator movie, the Predator franchise is horror, sci-fi, and action. This one felt a little too light and kind of coy and playful to be horror. Like, there was definitely the story and what's going on is very serious stuff. But when you have characters joking all the time and just kind of playing around, it's almost at the story's expense, because I can't get that tension feeling. I can't get that horror feeling from the film that I want to get from a Predator movie when the characters are always just trying to be funny and playful and entertaining it is entertaining, but it's at the cost of the horror. It's at the cost of the tension. And I feel like there's a way to still make the movie entertaining and still have good characters while also keeping it horror. Because we got that in the first Predator. Good group of characters, very entertaining, but also still horrifying. So I just felt like it did the tone of the film, the lighter type of playful tone didn't match the story and the situation that was playing out in the film. That was kind of another issue for me. And then this one did have some plot conveniences that kind of stood out for me this time around. Olivia Munn's character just showing up in certain places in the back half of the film when there's no logical reason or explanation as to how her character could be in the place that she shows up based on where she was at the prior scene. Some of the editing there was off, and it had some plot conveniences that other Predator movies didn't really have. This one kind of, there's a few that kind of stood out this time around that I was like, you guys could probably clean that up a bit. But yeah, overall, still had a really good time. I do think it's still very entertaining. It's got great kills. It's got a great looking Predator. It's got a great central character with an emotional element there with the relationship with him and his son, actually exploring that. I really like this film. My overall rating that I would give here for the Predator, I'm going to go 3.5 stars on this one as well. Might sound a little generous for some people. Hey man, you like what you like. If you don't like this movie, that's fine. As long as you have, your legitimate arguments and reasons for it, I'll respect it. But for me, it kind of gives me a lot of things that are important to me in a film. Strong characters, entertainment, rewatch, emotional connection there, and then great kills, which is always something I want in a Predator movie. And this one gives me that. So, and a really good looking Predator. Sorry, not sorry. 3.5 stars. That's my rating for the Predator. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you agree with my rating? Do you disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comments section. One more Predator movie to review, and then I'm going to do a Predator ranking video. Stay tuned for that as well. Until then, kick it and rock on.